We're just waiting for Rennie to log in from Chambers. It should be just a few minutes. We're just waiting for Rennie. It should be just a few minutes. Hey, Rennie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you're all set live streaming whenever you want to start.
Great, thanks. I just have it. Oh, can you tell me who is present? Is Tony Davis logged in?
Tony Davis is here, Michelle Hirsch is here, Steve Shabbat. Let's see. Then we have several other people from the public are here and from City Hall.
So Don Tollerman is not on there?
No, he's not.
All right, so we'll wait another minute or two then.
Okay. I'll let you know if he shows up.
Thank you. All right, we'll start 1 minute.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I will call this meeting to order at 6:39. This meeting of the Common Council of the City of the Finance Committee of the Common Council of the City of Kingston. Welcome to everyone who's here present, everyone who's online. We are going to discuss a number of issues tonight. Please remember, those of you who are watching, that this is a business meeting, so there's no public comment taken tonight. There are multiple chances for you to let your older people know, or your elected officials know your feelings on issues. Please feel free to get in touch with us directly, or you can come to our monthly Common Council meeting where there is a period set aside for public discussion. Or feel free to get in touch with me as the chair of this particular committee if you have concerns related to anything that we discussed tonight. With that said, let's see, I see that Chief Ray is here. Yes. Would you like to come speak to us? This is for a budget transfer in the fire department.
Again, Rennie, I'd like to remind you that we usually start off with John Toohey giving us a financial report update.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry. Can you hold on just 1 second? You can stay there. But Don, if you'll lead us through the financial report.
Sure. I emailed everyone earlier today. Okay, can you hear me? Everyone hear me? I emailed the finance update earlier today. Through October, we are running favorable to budget in terms of spending. We're 83.3% of the year. We are 74.7% expended and encumbered. Not a lot of significant change in the expenditure categories. Most of the substantial categories are all running favorable to budget. We have a few unfavorable line items, overtime pay, mainly because of some of the vacancies we have in our full-time staff, vehicle fuel due to inflationary prices there, general contract expenses, and some minor difference in multi-peril liability. Sales tax on the revenue side continues to come in extremely strong. We are currently at $13,731,000 for the year. We have 7 payments to be received for 2021, and we are within $140,000 of our target budget for 2021. So we're currently at 24.6% over a prior year. We're significantly over the pre-COVID levels from 2019. Parking revenue has been consistent or above budget. Building permit fees are lagging slightly. I gave you our investment account balances. The contingency balance is $9,677. We do have a transfer that was just adopted by the council last night that will replenish the contingency.
It was 150,000. Right?
Yeah. So we'll have money there to be able to draw from as we get into the year-end transfer closeouts.
Great. Any questions or comments from any of the members of the committee regarding Comptroller Toohey's report?
So Alderwoman Hirsch, I'm good, thank you. Thanks, John.
You're welcome. And as always, feel free to email or call me if any questions.
So, John, the fund balance is over $9 million, right?
The unassigned fund balance is 9,226,690 as of December 31st, 2020.
That's a big jump. I mean, wasn't it down to six something?
I can go through the history.
No, you don't need to.
Yeah, but, yeah, no, it picked up in 2020.
No, I know, we had some major expenditures. I thought we were spending on some debt. So my question is, we recommend spending down any more, retiring any notes and bonds by the end of the year?
I think what the plan for right now would be to wait to see, as we close out our 2021 numbers, to see where we're at. We did appropriate a large number of fund balance, a large amount of fund balance for the 2022 budget. We have used fund balance in 2021 to pay off debt. Depending on where our fund balance level is when we close out 2021, I might recommend some similar actions.
Okay,
Paying off debt, funding, pay-as-you-go capital, things of that nature.
thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? All right, thank you, John, as always. All right, sorry, Chief Ray. So you have a request for a budget transfer. Tell us about it.
Right, budget transfers to purchase an extractor, which is a gear extractor, so we moved carcinogens that are in turnout gear, firefighters when we come back from call. Cancer is now crept in to actually be the #1 killer of firefighters instead of heart attacks, so to beat out the heart attacks. And the extractor that we're replacing is 18 years old, and it's at station 1. We only have two. We got 2 extractors, that's it. So after fire, we have to a minimum of 10, 12 sets of turnout gear have to be washed.
Wouldn't it make sense to have one in each unit?
In each firehouse,
Yeah.
it's downtown firehouse has 2 firefighters.
Okay.
So, they leave it at Central's firehouse and they do it on the next day. They clean, obviously clean theirs first at Central, then downtown gets cleaned and sent back downtown. The expenditure for an extractor for down there for 2
That
firefighters,
makes sense. Oh.
if the money was plentiful, then yes. But right now, we can hold our own with 2 extractors. Right?
Okay. Any questions for Chief Ray?
Station in the uptown.
You have 4 uptown, you have 3 to 4 at Central, and 2
24.
24/7.
All right, and what?
So it's coming out of 2 lines.
Steve Shabbat has a question.
Steve Shabbat.
Yeah, speak up, Steve.
Actually, I'm making a motion. I have no questions.
All right, just want to be clear. So the total amount we're talking about is $14,438.
For the extractor, what I want to do is transfer $3,657.24 to the 211 line item.
Okay.
Is that the committee report? Chris, is that the committee report? Do you have it?
I don't have a copy of it.
You got it now.
All right, it's ours.
No problem.
All right, thank you. So the committee report reads, transfer funds to a different line from 3410.210, $1,271, and from 3410.441, $2,386.24, to line 3410.211, $3,657.24. So there is no financial impact on that. Steve Shabbat, you said you want to make a motion. Second,
Second,
Michelle.
Michelle Hirsch.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Unanimous in favor? All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you coming in.
All right, everybody.
Right, Chris?
Great. Next item is budget transfer for the Office of Community Development. This one also has no financial impact. This is for from New York State grants to contractual services, Office of Community Development. The committee report reads transfer from A16989.23.43389, New York State grants, the amount of $20,164.34. Transfer to line A16989.13.530, contractual services, same amount, $20,164.34. So I'm assuming this is the pass through. So there's no financial impact. Do we have a motion to accept this?
Motion.
Don Paul, motion. Michelle Hirsch, second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say no. Motion passes unanimously. Good. So we move to the next item on the agenda, which is Sue Cahill on the hot spot, in the hot seat, sorry, on the hot spot. That's something different, isn't it?
All together.
Yeah. Hello, Sue. How are you tonight? So item number 3.
Know which one went first.
This is related to the shade trees.
Okay.
I
So
financed
that was, yeah, that was the money that was raised through donations by Alderman O'Reilly. And it just has to be transferred out. It was in the shade tree account, had got moved into committed fund balance through a requirement under the auditors, I guess. So we need to transfer it back to make the payment. The tree is installed,
Trees installed. That's the word they use now, not planted?
planted,
Okay.
installed. It's done.
All right,
We closed out that project.
thanks. Any questions for Sue Cahill on this one?
Alderwoman Hirsch, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, then is there a motion to adopt this measure?
Motion?
Bill Hirsch, second by Don Tollerman. Any discussion? Like tree. All right, then, hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sue, what kind of tree was it?
Tony and Steve?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Measure passes unanimously. Great, we moved to the second item that Sue's got on the agenda tonight. Another budget transfer. Related to overtime pay.
It's supposed to cover overtime expenses in the planning office.
All right, so this is description, authorize budget modification for 2021 as follows. Increase the budget line A1-8020.5103 overtime by $1,000 and decrease the budget line A1-8020.5112 planning part-time employees by $1,000. The estimated financial impact is 0. Any questions or comments for Sue? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion. Don Tollerman makes the motion, second.
Second?
Michelle Hirsch makes the second. Any discussion?
All good.
Hearing no other discussion, I will then call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Anyone opposed? The measure passes unanimously. Thank you, Sue.
Good evening.
Have a good evening yourself. Next item on the agenda, number 5, is the CSEA Memorandum of Agreement. I believe the mayor is here to discuss this with us. I don't seem to have a committee report. John, you don't have an extra committee report there, do you? Oh, you got one? All right, so Mayor Duffy, welcome.
Sure, thank you. So as we discussed at length during the budget process, as part of my proposed budget, I proposed and consulted with CSEA over a retention and improvement plan as part of what was proposed 2022. In doing so, we came to terms on a MOA, which would amend the 2017 through 2020 CSEA contract that would allow for a 1-year term, January 1st, 2021 through December 31st of 2021, which would allow for the new salary schedule to take effect, to be able to raise base wages for all of our CSEA workers, exclusive of the one where I have a conflict with my spouse. And so you'll see that attached to the MOA. Our new grade structure went from 18 grades down to 7 grades. And we also, in this MOA, there would be no retroactive pay paid for wages in 2021. And then the third agreement would be that starting January 1st, 2022, any laborers hired in that class, the position title laborer, would be required to have a driver's license, which is currently not a requirement of the position. And so that is the MOA. I think that there may be members of the CSEA union on the call if there are any specific questions for them as well. But that is, and so tonight I'm asking for you to approve that MOA so that they could go to a full council meeting to be ratified. And in the interim, it's my understanding after speaking with CSEA that they will also be ratifying, having a vote to ratify this prior to either a January council meeting or a special council meeting as requested for that. So that is where we are.
All right, any questions for the mayor? Tony
I have a
Davis?
question.
Go ahead, Tony.
Hello, Mayor.
Tony, how are you?
Good. And so he stated that we have to sign off for this, and then the CSEA union members have to sign off on it. And is that something that all the members get to voice their opinion on this, or is that something just between, and maybe I'm not sure if the CSE president's on here, is that something all the members get to discuss and vote on, or is that just and the president and whoever else might be just a few people?
Yeah, and so negotiating the MOA is generally between union leadership, the union relations specialist and the mayor, and then the full union would ratify it, which means that they would go to a vote of the membership, which is similar to a contract. And so that would,
okay.
Would happen. And that would happen sometime after tonight, but before the full council votes on it, is my understanding.
Now, my follow-up question is, if the membership and votes this down, the MOA, then what would happen?
Then the agreement is not ratified. So it requires both parties to ratify, which means the common council would need to approve and the CSEA membership would have to approve.
Does it start over then?
It just doesn't happen. Yeah.
I still have questions.
It's like it doesn't exist. Yeah.
I still have another question.
Go ahead, keep going.
Alrighty, so so we're right now asked to vote on this MOA for the salary increases.
Yes,
All right, so then that would go to the membership, and that is what they would be voting on. And if they turn that down, then it would go back to the salaries as they are now with and along with the 18 steps.
correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Patrick O'Reilly.
Patrick O'Reilly, yes, sir.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Good to see you. Steve, I have a question. The driver's license. We're trying to attract new employees. Why are we putting more stipulations on?
You know, I could let our DPW superintendent speak, who's actually here. But generally speaking, our laborers do a lot of jobs for us, moving around the city, being able to, you know, pick up materials, deliver materials, get to job sites, and having a valid driver's license is really important for our workers to be able to get around, you know, our diverse and hilly city. And so that's one of the reasons. Anything else, Ed, that you'd like to share?
It just gives us more opportunity to use the people in different areas where we don't have to cart them around. Instead of tying up 2 people to drive one around, they can drive themselves for any trash pickup or yard waste pickup or anything like that.
And it's my understanding that currently all of our current laborers do by chance have driver's licenses, but we would like to have that actually mandated going forward, so that we don't end up coming up with a candidate that does not have one, or who at some point in the future loses one of them. It becomes much more challenging for us to use them when they can't move themselves around.
So what would happen if somebody does lose their driver's license for, let's say, too many traffic violations or for other reasons?
Yeah, so in the future, you know, as we do now with our HMEOs and MEOs, it is a requirement of their job to be able to have a license. And if they have their license suspended or lose their license, it can put them in jeopardy of keeping their job, right? Ed, is that accurate? Yes, and so if we you know, get in that position where in the future, under these new rules, we have a laborer who is, you know, loses their license because of a traffic infraction, you know, we would have to take that up with kind of civil service law in terms of, you know, disciplinary procedures.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Other questions? Any other questions from out there?
Alderwoman Hirsch, I'm good.
Don Holland?
So Steve, the management team, confidential management, I know this is not about the management, but there is a connection, right? If there's a raise here, it could automatically flows through. Is there an additional plan regarding compensation for confidential management?
Yes, and so as we discuss approving this MOA, we would, after approval, because this is a very unique proposal and is more than a traditional raise, because it's taking 18 grades and turning them to 7, and then there are some step increases for certain you know, levels of employees. We would work with CSEA. We would work to take that CSEA proposal and really look at some of the higher earners, which are more closely related to our management employees. And we would look at, so someone that's been here for 10 plus years, someone that is a higher earner, what is the average wage that they're getting, which in general is between 3% and 4%. And that's really most likely what we would come back with next month for our management employees to be able to look at for them. Again, we have to run all of the numbers. We have to, you know, do the math on that. So we haven't done that yet, but it's generally the process that we would look at for this unique proposal. Generally, it's a little bit more straightforward. Everyone gets a 2%, and so that the management gets 2%. But with this, we want to be able to look at what are kind of similar cohorts, in the process.
Rennie, I have one more question.
Sure, go ahead.
Also, Alderwoman Hirsch, I just want to confirm per the MOA that no current laborer would lose their job for loss of license.
Correct. Yes. So this specifies that this would not affect any current laborers that are employed as of right now. It will only impact new laborers hired after January 1st of 2022.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I've got some questions. Steve, in the last collective bargaining with CSEA, did you take part in those negotiations?
I did not.
Why is that?
Because I had a significant other in the bargaining unit. And that was, in that case, we were negotiating on behalf of the entire bargaining unit.
And so why did you feel it was appropriate for you to take part in this negotiation?
Because in this case, we removed the conflict by not proposing a raise for my significant other and not including the significant other in the proposed process here. And that was discussed with our labor counsel and our labor relations attorney and our current corporation counsels, and discussed with the union. And the unions, and Howard Ball is on here tonight, and so is Dan Quisnell. They could talk to you about how, when dealing with these conflicts, the union would deal directly with the common council in the future to be able to negotiate on that employee's behalf, cutting me out of it, which is how we've been told to deal with conflicts like this.
Okay. At what point was she removed from the negotiations?
Before I was presented the budget to the council, so at the beginning of this process.
That's it, from the very beginning?
Yes.
Okay. So you just said you had a whole bunch of discussions with labor relations and so forth.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, do you still stand by your November 6th testimony that there were no negotiations with the union before you proposed this plan?
We are still not and have not until this MOA had formal negotiations. Prior to anything, prior to this document being created, which you see before you today, all of the discussions were just that, discussions. And again, that was clarified and cleared by all of our attorneys here in city government, including our labor relations attorney. So having discussions with CSEA about whether this type of proposal in my budget would be appropriate, is completely appropriate and is not considered a negotiation. But even if it is a negotiation, I removed any conflict that I have by not negotiating on behalf of a spouse or significant other, because they were removed from these discussions.
So in the specific discussions, negotiations that you had with the union, was our comptroller involved in any of that?
He was involved after I went back and forth with the union on the grade process of shrinking the grades from 18 to 7. We then presented that concept to the comptroller's office, and which was then included in the budget.
And was the head of civil service part of these negotiations that you had before you proposed the budget?
And again, as I said, there were no negotiations that happened before the budget. There was discussions about the budget.
Was the head of civil service involved in any of that?
No, and there would be no reason for her to be involved, as civil service is just creating jobs and being able to create job descriptions. There were no new jobs being created as part of this retention and recruitment process.
And were any department heads involved?
The department heads involved were all included after the fact. Yeah.
And so in writing this up, who actually wrote up this agreement here?
This was written by CSEA.
Written by CSEA. So has the city's labor lawyer looked at it yet?
No.
Has any labor lawyer looked at it from our side? Has our corporation counsel looked at it?
It's been shared. It's been shared with both labor councils and our city attorney as soon as I received it from over the last week. We just did this last week. And so they all have it. And, it's very common practice for us, the CSEA and the city administration to write MOAs together and to be able to sign MOAs. Again, this is all within my job purview as the mayor to be able to negotiate and to sign agreements. And I feel confident that this is a good agreement for the city. I feel confident that this is a good agreement for our workers. And I feel confident that this is the right thing to do if we want to be able to retain and recruit workers. And I think that our CSEA workers have worked extremely hard during the last decade plus. And this is really just bringing their salaries in line with their counterparts. And, we've done nothing wrong in proposing creating a salary system that is fair and equitable amongst our CSEA staff.
Nobody here is questioning the value of our CSEA workers. I think everybody on the Common Council is totally agreed that they're underpaid. I think that we're all excited too about the significant increase in pay for them. The question is how this is going about and what the ramifications might be and what hidden ones might be that we aren't clear on. So the fact that a specific labor lawyer has not looked at this yet, to me, that's a little concerning. I don't know what the significance is at this point, but to me, it's concerning. So you said that there will be definite effects on management confidential salaries. You haven't yet figured out a thing yet. A formula yet. Was there any money set aside in the budget specifically for these increases?
As we saw, we do put money in contingency every year to fund any potential salary increases necessary. So there's, as we know, money in contingency to potentially deal with any issues like that.
Sure, but in your budget, you put the money directly in the lines of the various lines of the budget for the CSEA employees, but there was no similar plan established in advance for the management confidential. Right. Okay. So in other words, we would have to take this money out of contingency, and we didn't specifically plan for it, which may be fine. Maybe fine. We just have to be aware.
And as you know, all the money now is in contingency for the raises.
For the CSEA raises, yes,
right.
But not for the management, the potential.
That's also contingency. Right?
Well, it just wasn't specifically earmarked that way, right? Okay. I'm wondering too, do you have any concerns about this complete revision of the proposal? Complete revision of the grades and steps hampering our future CSEA negotiations in the traditional collective bargaining process?
I feel like we need to be able to recruit and retain our workers. And I believe that the 6-step process that we have here in the city of Kingston hampers that effort. I think it hampers our ability to recruit by paying an artificially low salary for the first few years to be able to then get to what is really the appropriate salary to be paid for that position. I feel strongly about that. I feel like that has been an issue for us in attracting key staff. Many who have seen the job posting that shows the range from year 1 to year 6 and thinking that if they were higher qualified, they would get the year 6 salary, and that is just not accurate. And I think that is unfair. So I think it will greatly help our recruitment efforts. And I also believe that the largest salary increases were in our lowest paid workers. And so being able to make sure that everyone is paid a living wage is appropriate. And I think in no way hampers our ability to, negotiate fair contracts with CSEA.
Okay, thank you. As you understand it, especially in paragraph 2 here, does this agreement preclude any further raises for 2021 for CSEA employees?
Would you like to just read it?
I see something that refers to retroactive salary payments, okay? But I don't see anything that says
the intent is to allow proposals and negotiations of
where are you?
in that same paragraph.
At the end, okay.
At the end, it says the intent is to allow proposals and negotiations of additional salary increases for 2021, but there shall be no retroactive payments for any 2021 wages negotiated or applied in the future. So basically what that's saying is that CSEA still has their right, as they would in a traditional negotiation process so that when we go to negotiate a long-term contract with CSEA, they can go ahead and ask for a additional increase in 2021, but it would not be able to be paid retroactively.
So currently, we're looking at $700,000 and change for this increase, but there's a potential that that last part will increase that amount over time.
In future years, if so negotiated, yes.
It's right, okay, all right. So I just want to make it clear that, you know, $700,000 here is not necessarily the last payment we would make for this increase in salary for CSEA workers. And then it's possible too that then that, you know, any percentage increase that would be negotiated, that would then become the basis for 2022, right? So there could be more increase for 2022 above what we're looking at right now.
Which would still put CSEA below the average annual salary increase that we've provided our unions like police and fire in the last few years. And so just to be able to keep that in comparison, that $700,000 that we're investing per capita out of our 100 plus CSEA members is still less than the most recent fire department contract that we just approved, which spent $500,000 over each year for 5 years, equaling 2.5 million. And there's only 50 firefighters. And so there's double the amount of staff in CSEA, but yet this is only costing $700,000. So just keeping that in perspective, CSEA is still getting, even with this plan and potential future raises, still less of a wage impact to us than some of our other unions.
I hear what you're saying, but we've had a history of a fairly predictable increase in CSEA wages from year to year. And I'm just saying that what this agreement makes possible is that there's a fair amount of unintended consequences. We're not clear what that could be. We're not going to compare, I'm not comparing them to other unions because they have very different kind of work that they do. And there are also, you know, different kinds of contract negotiations there. So I'm just saying I want to be careful because I'm concerned that there are some things here that actually are committing us potentially to spending monies that we haven't seen. We don't have clear evidence for what that might be, right? That's all. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, questions for Steve? Yeah.
So for the management confidential, you said you haven't figured out the formula for that. Who's going to figure out that formula? Who do you work with to do that?
The comptroller.
The comptroller. So it'd be you and the comptroller.
Yep.
And then is that would that be subject to any kind of? They're not unionized, so that wouldn't necessarily be collective bargaining. But do you have a sense of so the current budget increases certain members of management confidential by various percentage points. Let's just say 10% for somebody. Would the calculation for the CSEA increase be based on their new salary, the 2022 salary? Would that increase, or would it be based on the 2021 salary?
And again, once all of this gets proposed and approved, we would work that out. I don't have an answer for you today on what we're going to do with management. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I just make a request that council is probably running as chair of finance informed on any decisions that are made.
We will have to, bring that to council to ask for a budget transfer. So.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for the mayor?
I have a question.
Yes, Patrick.
I guess you guys don't see my hand when it's up. I guess I'd have to speak up from now on because I had my hand raised several times. Go on, Patrick. Go on, Patrick.
Clarify. Hold on, Patrick. We can only see one person's screen at a time, Tony. So yeah, you gotta call out. I don't have. It's not like we're online. So it's not like we're on the.
No problem. No problem. I will speak up from now on.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and we'll let Patrick go.
Who's going?
Go, Patrick.
Me? Okay. Hey, Steve, it's me again. Steve, is your wife, is your spouse going to be in the new steps, or is she going to be in the old steps, or is that going to be negotiated at a later date?
Yes, and I can let the union speak to that, but being that we have, we have not included her in this proposal because this is something that I negotiated, the union would have to negotiate with the common council on her behalf at some point. And I can't speak to that, but that's something that you could, if one of the union representatives would like to speak on her behalf tonight, that's fine, but I can't speak to that.
Dan Quisnell, would you answer the question?
Yeah, hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir. Gotcha. Hello. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? So the plan is to set up a subunit, a separate negotiating unit for one member that would be represented by CSEA, and that her separate unit would negotiate separately from ours. Howard, I know Howard Ball's here. I don't know if he wants to speak to the process of how that's done.
Yeah, I just wanted to correct. It's actually not going to be a separate unit. There will be a side memorandum drafted between CSEA and the city that will essentially carve her out of the negotiation process of the bargaining unit as it pertains to her salary and benefits. So, Julie's salary and benefits will be negotiated. To my understanding, after speaking with city's labor council, that negotiation will primarily occur between CSEA and the comptroller, and then ultimately be brought back to council for approval. So that is my understanding. It's going to be a side memorandum of agreement. She's not actually going to be in her own bargaining unit. But she'll remain as part of the overall bargaining, and that's really just from CSEA's perspective. It's difficult to have a one-member bargaining unit, so she'll remain in the bargaining unit. But her deal, for lack of a better term, will be negotiated between CSEA and the comptroller, exclusive of the mayor's involvement, as has been the case all along.
Will she be putting?
Hold on, Patrick. I just wanted to welcome Howard here tonight, so everybody feels welcome. Howard, do you have a sense of when that, a time schedule, time for that, when that would happen?
Well, quite honestly, we're waiting to see what occurs with the overall bargaining unit, because from our perspective, that will indicate to us what our negotiation proposal or demand will be as it relates to Julie Noble's terms of pay and benefits. And moving forward, there'll basically be two separate negotiations going on, one for the overall bargaining unit, and then a separate negotiation that will occur for the benefits and salary for Julie.
Thank you. All right, Patrick?
Yeah, thank you. So will Julie fall into one of the new categories, or will she still be in the tier 18 category?
Well, it's our position that the current salary schedule is so corrupted right now that if it's not fixed, any negotiations that we bridge off of the current schedule, the trajectory of that is just going to lead to a further corrupted schedule. So it's our position that this schedule has to be repaired. If it's not repaired, any future negotiations are just going to continue with the same corrupted schedule that exists right now. So yes, it would be our position that she would fall with the rest of the bargaining unit in one of the grades, based on the job title and the duties in comparison to other job titles of other grades within the city.
Okay, thank you. Steve, I have a question for you. Steve, looking at the budget, it looked like we were putting raises in for some confidential management positions. You know, one that's piqued my interest was the rec department. It looked like she was the head of the rec department was going to get a raise in the budget, and then will she also get a raise when it all will she get that raise? And then let's say because the CSEA got a raise, then in the handbook it says that the confidential management will all get a raise. Will she get another raise on top of that, making it quite a large raise?
So there's a lot of misinformation out there about some of the management raises, and I'll just clarify for the Director of Parks and Recreation. In April of this year, DPW turned back to the Parks and Recreation Department the maintenance responsibilities, which at that time the Director of Recreation had changed the title from Director of Recreation to Director of Parks and Recreation, and assumed the salary that the previous Parks and Recreation Director was making prior to our 1 year of DPW managing the maintenance of the parks. And so in doing so, the raise given was commensurate with the same raise or the same salary level that her predecessor was making. And so there was really, in essence, no raise given. She was just given the responsibility of managing an additional 7 or 8 laborers plus an entire summer full of additional laborers when we hire our seasonal staff. And so with that responsibility came the original salary of the position. And so going forward in the 2022 budget, that salary was the same salary that she started on in April. And again, she would then qualify for, a management kind of across the board raise that we just talked about.
Thank you for clarifying that, Steve, because it did look like she was receiving an incredible raise, but now I better understand why. Thank you very much.
So I don't see anything in this memorandum of agreement that specifically carves out your spouse, but I see under grade 4, in essence, that salary grade is the one that she's at right now.
I know. So her position is environmental education and sustainability coordinator. Okay. And it's so you'll see that not listed in here.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the mayor or for Harry Ball?
So again, I get to speak now since we've been back and forth. And I thought I was going to go out to Patrick. I get to speak now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So you brought up a lot of questions there, Rennie. But isn't that part of the negotiation that this CSEA and our city and city staff would all sit down and negotiate back and forth? I mean, that is part of negotiations, I believe, is both parties sitting down and negotiating out what is going to be, what the contract might look for the future years. Also, for the CSEA, for either one, Dan or Harold, when you guys go here, I just want to make sure, does the whole CSEA membership, are they sitting down with you guys, part of this negotiations or whatever? Do they get input in what they want and to see in this new contract?
So yeah, I mean, I could answer that. Surveys went out to our entire membership. And there was a delay in negotiations primarily due to COVID, obviously. This particular, it's basically a 1-year memorandum of agreement that extends the contract. It only deals with a wage adjustment. All of those things that we surveyed our members for, we have proposals drafted for formal negotiations where both sides will sit at the table, exchange proposals. The city will have their list of proposals, we'll have our list of proposals, and we'll negotiate over all of those different proposals. Not just about wages. So this 1-year situation, it's a culmination again of a salary structure I mean, if you look at the schedule, you could get a 4-grade promotion and not even bring home $6 more a week. If you get promoted from a grade 12 to a grade 13, you're making the same salary. So, and you could go from grade 1 all the way up to grade 8, and the difference in salary is disgusting. You're talking pennies. So if the salary structure is not fixed, anything that we negotiate off of is going to be based on that same corrupted salary structure that we have in place right now. So we recognize that had to be fixed first. The mayor was absolutely correct that the city's having trouble, attracting staff, primarily because of the salary. And although it wasn't a traditional negotiation where, committees would sit down at a table and exchange proposals, there was discussion back and forth between CSEA and the city regarding this particular memorandum of agreement. Now, I drafted the memorandum of agreement. I drafted the memorandum of agreement before the mayor even released his budget, but we didn't sign off on that because we didn't know if the city was going to actually want to do traditional negotiations. So basically fix the salary structure and then do traditional negotiations, or were we just going to treat this as a 1-year deal and then bridge off of negotiations moving forward with a fixed salary schedule? So when things transpired through questions, and I don't think the council was completely clear or understanding what went on, that's when the MOA got, last week we decided to execute that MOA. I drafted that MOA in October. After we had this discussion regarding the terms, and at the same time through that discussion, Julie, I had conversations with the city's labor council, outside labor council, that Julie needed to be carved out of the discussion. The mayor wants to be able to negotiate. It's the mayor's job to negotiate with the bargaining units, and because he has a significant other that is part of our bargaining unit, we were trying to figure out a way for him to be able to participate in negotiations. So this is basically, we haven't signed off on anything, but we specifically excluded her from this MOA, and the mayor, to my understanding, specifically excluded her from the budget for any change whatsoever. And we will sit down and negotiate, with the comptroller, to my understanding, and the city's labor council, for the terms and conditions of her benefits and salary.
So I just want to make sure that your members, your rank and file members, will be able to have say in the negotiation going forward after this MOA. We have
our proposals. We've already done the surveys. We have our proposals of what we are intending to propose when we sit down in a more formal negotiation. This particular deal is not something that's unique to the city of Kingston. We do one-year salary rollover proposals, salary adjustment proposals for 1-year deals. I mean, I've done dozens of them in my 30-year career. This is not something unique to the city of Kingston. The city of Kingston's salary structure, the schedule, is by far the most corrupted schedule that I've ever encountered in my career. And hopefully moving forward, we're going to be working off of something that is a more sensible schedule that doesn't have the inherent problems that the other schedule had in it. So right. This is still going to be a 1-year deal. Our membership will have to vote on this and ratify it. We are planning on holding that meeting near the end of this month, before the new year. We're going to have an info meeting and ratification meeting, basically to discuss what we've agreed to and why and how. And then everybody's going to be able to vote whether they agree or do not agree. Everybody in CSEA. So even if this were a traditional negotiation as just a rollover proposal, everybody in CSEA, although some are getting more because of the adjustments to the schedule, every member is getting, at a minimum, the same roughly 2.5–3% that they would have gotten in a traditional negotiation anyway. So to the members that are on the higher end that were already at step 6, the wage increases that they're getting, nobody is getting a deal where they're not getting progressive movement in their money. And it represents an increase in salary of at a minimum 2.5%. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. Is the math right on that? Minimum 2.5%? It's been a while since I did the math on it.
Yeah, it's right around 2.5%. Yeah.
All righty.
So that's the minimum. That's the bottom line.
All right.
And yes, there are others that are getting more. Particularly part of the step movement. But if you look at the CSEA leadership, the CSEA leadership is actually getting the least. On the overall, they're on the lower end of all of this. There's been discussion about Dan's salary movement, but if you look at step 6 on Dan's current salary, he's only moving up 2.5%. The advancement is the few steps that he's getting ahead of time that he would have had to work several more years to get. But you also have to realize he's been here for 15 years, Dan?
All righty. That's why I just wanted to make sure, Howard and Dan, I just wanted to make sure that the rank and file will get, be able to sit down and look at these and be able to add some input into the proposals. That's it. And we've all said, and I can only speak for myself. I know you guys are of the 3 unions, and on average, the lowest paid union. And so, we have to do something to raise those bottom salaries to help attract good quality candidates. And, and I hope, and future negotiations, that'll work itself out of exactly what else is going to happen or be or not be in the contract. So thanks for taking the time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Howard, can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
Just asking for understanding. Can you explain to us why the union is more interested in the stepped increases here? So, the 6th grade as opposed to an across the board, just 11% for everybody in CSEA.
Well, again, we're working off of a salary structure that is broken. It's broken beyond repair at this point. So in order to get step 1, so if we were to stay with a traditional 6-step salary schedule and still be with the intent on attracting staff, let's assume for a second that we adjust the grades but leave the steps. So if we were to reduce the number of grades down to 7 but leave 6 steps, your step 1 would still have to be what you're currently proposing as just a flat salary. So then if you're going to move from step 1 all the way up to step 6, the 700,000 and change that you have in your budget right now, you're going to have to double that. That's the reality, because that would project the extra 6 steps. You have to have your step 1 so much higher than what it is right now. And by design, if you're going to add steps to that, each step is going to have to be, higher than the step before it. So you're basically going to double at 700,000 in order to continue with a 6-step schedule and still fix the salary schedule to not be broken. If the city's prepared to do that, we're not opposed to that, but we don't think that it's realistic to do that all at once, all up front. I think over some time, the structure may be able to be modified, over the course of the life of a multi-year contract. But to do it all up front, all at once, when you're already having to jump so high just to be competitive, and keep in mind, this just barely makes you competitive. It doesn't put you, up near the top. It doesn't put you up near the top third. In some of these jobs, you're still below the halfway mark in comparison. So, this will make you a little more competitive, but it still doesn't go anywhere near to be able to truly compete. Although if you do some of the apples to apples comparisons, the city's retirement deal is a little bit better for health insurance than some of the other municipalities, but dollar for dollar, you are going to be more competitive and be able to attract qualified staff, but not to the extreme that other municipalities already are, because you're still below them, even with this change.
Thanks for explaining that. Can you then also help us understand how you came up with the comparisons? Because you're talking about apples to apples. How did you develop specific amounts for each of the grades that's in the new proposal here?
So just to be clear, some of the current titles are unique to cities or unique to the city of Kingston. Some of the higher titles, but your DPW titles, your HMEOs and your MEOs and your laborers, to do those comparisons, you just look at all the other municipalities that fall in Ulster County that you're competing with right now. And when you look at those, Ulster County at one point was the absolute lowest. They have done some dramatic things to change that in their current contract. So they're no longer the lowest. You guys are either the lowest or just barely above the lowest. I think there might be one or two very small municipalities in the very rural areas that may actually compete with you for being the bottom spot. So that's how the comparisons are done, is what are those titles paying in the municipalities that you're competing with for labor in the market that you're in. And that's not even looking at the private sector. That's just looking at public sector. Private sector, the salaries in the private sector in a lot of these instances are a lot higher, but the benefits are less or different. So there's some trade-off there. But just, again, looking municipality to municipality, same retirement system, very similar health insurance situations, very similar time off situations and holidays and sick time and vacation. And then when you look at the salaries, that's where you filter out, where the city is in comparison to everybody else that you're competing with.
Great. So, and when you talk about the comparisons in our market, if you just clarify, is that Ulster County, Hudson River Valley in general, Eastern New York, just the general sense?
Right. So I'm just looking at, it's not even fair to compare you outside of Ulster County, to be honest with you, because when you get into, Orange County and Dutchess County and further south, it's not even fair to compare, to do a comparison there, because it's so much higher. So yes, just looking in Ulster County, because that's realistically who you're competing with.
Okay, great. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
So are there any other questions from members of the committee for either members of the union here, Howard Ball, or the mayor? Hearing no other questions then, thank you all for presenting. Appreciate it. We'll now ask for, does anybody want to make a motion to consider this MOA?
Michelle Hirsch, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Tony Davis. Second. All right.
Tony Davis.
Got you, Tony. Got you down as a second. Any discussion then?
Second.
You're the second, Steve. Any discussion? Yes, Michelle Hirsch.
Yes, Alderwoman Hirsch. I'd like to commend the mayor for taking this initiative to restructure the salaries, what could be a potentially very bad situation for the city of Kingston in providing services to our community. We've heard quite a bit of testimony in the last few days from community members that really are having trouble affording to live here in our city. And this also is a situation for our own CSEA workers. The cost of living has gone up greatly, and we need to make sure that we are providing for the people that provide for the city of Kingston. And so I am fully in support of this MOA, and I thank everyone for putting it together. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion?
Can I say something?
Yes, Patrick?
Yes, I'd like to say that, you know, it's a necessary move. It's a confusing move for us all. We were all confused about it, but I think the mayor was a very bold, and he did the right thing. He needed to do it. He took control of that situation, and you know, I'll be glad when the city workers get their raises. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing no discussion then, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So that's unanimous, but I would like to say I have some clear questions. I would like to have an understanding from the city's outside lawyer. I'd like to have a clear sense that this is standard. I hear Howard saying he's negotiated lots of these. That gives me confidence. But I'm concerned about some of the issues that could ramify from this in terms of its effect on other parts of our budget. So at this point, it's unanimous in favor, so we'll go to the Common Council for a full vote. Thank you. Next item on our agenda, Norman transfer in DPW. This, I believe, is also no impact.
Would like me to speak at all about that, Ernie?
Let's just see if, well, just tell us what it's about. Real quick. I lost my
Basically,
place.
just some housekeeping for this month. Coming down to the end of the year, making some last minute changes, moving some money around to different delinquent accounts. Actually trying to head off some price increasing that's going to be coming at the first of the year for some maintenance items and materials. I was notified by several of our vendors as far as they're looking at a 15 to 25% increase coming after the first of the year. So I'm trying to head off some of that stuff at this point, so we can get ahead of the game a little bit.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Ed Norman? The committee report reads here, request to approve the attached CSEA, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. Internal transfer of $23,405 sewer funds, monies to cover shortfalls in accounts as per attached. That is in our packet here.
Just a moment, there's two.
I'm reading the second one.
Yeah, well, in the agenda, it's the second one, in the packet, you're reading the second one.
I only see one.
There are two. There's the 23,000 for sewer funds and then the 26,000 from general funds.
Is the general funds the first one?
General funds is the first one in the packet. They're all there. We just skipped over the first
The
one.
first one I have is about the sewer funds.
All right, I don't know why yours isn't getting that packet. There are two. Do you want my copy?
I don't have that. I mean, I've got the committee report.
Oh, so what are you looking for? Are you looking for the
Yes, I'm saying.
communication you're looking for, or are you looking?
Yeah, I don't need a communication. It just, none of that's in my packet. Anyway, I've got the communication. So the communication reads internal transfer $26,369 general funds monies to cover shortfalls in accounts as per attached. So if there are no questions for Ed Norman on this, is there a motion to approve this?
Motion.
Second.
Tony Davis, Steve Shabbat, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Measure is adopted. All right, so the second one is the one that I was reading. Ed, do you need to tell us anything about this one?
Same thing.
Okay, this one's from the sewer fund. So the committee report reads, internal transfer of $23,405 in the sewer funds monies to cover shortfalls in accounts as per attached. Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Tony Davis,
Second.
Michelle Hirsch seconds it. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The measure is adopted. I would also I was remiss in not reading the committee report for the CSEA MOA. Just want to make that clear. The description is request to approve the attached CSEA MOA that amends the 2017-2020 CSEA contract to provide new salary schedule and related provisions. All right, we will go on to item number 7. This is a transfer in the clerk's office. This is requesting a transfer in the clerk's budget of $66,816.35 to balance accounts as per attached.
So this is really just cleaning up the budget at the end of the year. I had received an email from John that I had some cleaning up to do. So this is what that is.
All right, I'm just wondering, why does it say that there's a financial impact?
Right, there is one transfer that is going just to contingency. Let me grab it.
And so that's just a general transfer. It's not covering something specific.
It's covering liability insurance,
Okay.
which it's such a big ticket item that the clerk's budget normally wouldn't be able to absorb an unscheduled increase.
Okay. Thank you, John. Any questions for Mr. John? Hearing no questions, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Michelle Hirsch, seconds. So it says requesting a transfer in the city clerk's budget of $66,816.35 to balance accounts as per attached, with estimated financial impact $36,485.47 coming from contingency. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Measure is adopted unanimously. Last is number 8. This is a budget transfer in the comptroller's office. This committee report reads request 2021 budgetary transfer totaling $19,800 as per attached to balance account with 0 financial impact. Any questions for John? Hearing no questions, then I'll ask for a motion to discuss.
Motion.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made the second?
Second.
Tony Davis. Very good. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? The measure passes unanimously. We now move to old business. First item has to do with the pipe plan. I was not at the last Finance Committee meeting, so I don't know where this was left, what discussion took place, what we would be looking at. Don, you want to let us in then?
Sure. So the pike plan, the discussion was whether to provide funding so that the pike plan could be brought up to a higher state of both structural safety and appearance. And this is a very long and people feel strongly to keep the pike plan. Many people feel strongly to remove the pike plan. So last discussion, we really did not advance to a next step. So subsequently, I've spoken to the mayor about the notion of doing a thorough outreach to our citizens, to do a survey, to ask the citizens, not only do you think we should keep, what would you like to do, keep it or keep it and bring it up to speed, or remove it, so we can see the buildings and the architecture, but also to add that if you vote to remove it, if you signal that you like it, or if you like to keep it, then there's an additional tax levy that could potentially be passed to cover the cost of maintaining the bike plan. So that, again, ask our citizens, their opinions, with the added idea that if we do decide to maintain it properly, let's just say that our estimate there is $130,000 a year, that, yes, okay, you're willing to keep it, but are you willing to pay extra tax dollars to keep it? This is something that the mayor, I think that the mayor could take on in the coming year.
It should not be just what's the cost going to be to keep it. If you're going to do a survey, then you need to make sure that the citizens know exactly both sides. So if you're going to do a survey, it needs to be said, what is it going to cost for a one-time demolition or to remove it, as well as what it's going to cost annually to keep it. That is then giving them information from both sides clearly. So if they do vote, then they know exactly what they're voting for. To remove it, this is what it's going to cost the city one time in costs. If we keep it, this is what it's going to cost annually, and this is what and this will what it be the cost and to go on your taxes or whatever you're stating.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
So I agree with that, Tony, and Andrea, maybe you can, is there a cost associated with doing a survey, and is it a mailing? In other words, if so, I'd even make a motion to fund $5,000 or whatever it takes so that the mayor has what he needs to conduct a proper survey.
Well, it depends on, I guess, what kind of survey. I mean, I know they've done a survey before. What is it called? The monkey?
Survey Monkey?
Survey monkey.
Well, that's having everyone's email, which we don't have.
Oh, so you're looking, that's what I'm asking, you're looking to do a mail out to every?
Well, the mayor, is he still here?
Yeah,
What do you think about this?
sure. I think that one of the things that I think we could do is if we wanted to do, every household in the city take part, or at least be given the opportunity for surveys, that we send a postcard that could either be filled out and dropped off at a public location, or to go on a website with their own individual code to enter the survey results. And the website itself could have kind of the different sides of the issue, as Alderman Davis mentioned, on it. And so I think as well as information on the card. So that would cost, similar to probably what our snow mailing is, about $7,000 to be able to do a full citywide, every household in English and Spanish mailing. Could be something that could be considered as what would be needed to be able to pull off that kind of full effort.
And if we're gonna include the cost of everything, who's gonna figure that out, and will we have to hire from outside to figure out that cost? Because that would be another additional cost before we put out the survey. Would that be in-house?
Did engineering give you some of that already?
Engineering came up with an estimate, yeah, an estimate for removing and repairing facades, that's not one, and an estimate for maintaining it as it is and bringing it up to standard. So we do have estimate, our DPW and engineering came up with a number.
Oh, so that wouldn't be an extra cost to get a consultant to figure out the cost of everything?
That's correct.
Okay.
So then I'd like to make a motion to fund $7,000 to enable the mayor to do that survey.
Would that need to be public communication?
I mean, it is the Pike plan, we agree with communication. The under old business is just Pike plan. this could be considered old business under site plan registry.
We don't think this could be done with a public hearing? Like
Well, I like the idea of a public hearing, but I think it's, I like the idea of a communication going out to all the residents of Kingston, at least all the households, because that way we ensure that it's, we at least give everybody in the community the possibility to weigh in. But I think the idea of a public hearing as well is a good one.
all right, thank you.
And we could always add in a public hearing as part of the council process. Is corporation counsel here?
Yes.
Barbara, hi, do you have this communication in the packet?
Give me 1 second, please. I might have missed the last part of the comment made. If you wouldn't mind repeating it, please.
Sure, so Dawn made a motion to put $7,000 for a survey to go out to every household in Kingston about the plate plan and what they want to do. So that was specific in the communication. So I'm wondering if we could do that or through the old business of what he has from last month, or if this needs to have a new communication and be on the agenda for next month.
You mean with respect to transparency? I think you need to put it on the agenda and vote on it after providing additional notice or specific notice.
Oh, thank you.
Good, so it requires communication.
So I'll provide a communication.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So is everybody clear what just got decided there? Don Coleman will provide a new communication that specifically calls for a certain amount of money for a household survey regarding the Pike plan.
Good.
All right. Then the last item of full business is City Hall restoration. Don, where are you at with that?
Okay, so in the City Hall restoration, I presented this proposal from a vendor to do the whole of City Hall, paint, carpet, and furniture, excluding chambers. And, I think everyone felt that number of $700,000 was way too high, and I don't disagree. And that do we really need to do everything? So in subsequent conversation, we came to the notion of just doing the two conference rooms adjacent to chambers, as well as the mayor's conference room and the mayor's office, because this is where visitors come mostly besides chambers. And there, as Elisa pointed out, old furniture is replaced, each year in the different offices, and so that's not as bad as I thought it was. So I'm revising this proposal verbally here, just to say that we allocate $80,000, $20,000 per room. To do, and we're going to get quotes from vendors, and this is on state contract, but this may require another communication, just like the last one. But what I'm proposing is we just target 4 rooms, the 2 conference rooms adjacent to chambers, the mayor's conference room, and the mayor's office.
You're talking about, excuse me, Solomon Tony Davis here. The one chambers, if I'm correct, now says lunchroom or something on it. The one to the right of the chambers or left, depending on how you're looking at it. So why would we be refurnishing a lunchroom?
Meetings do take place in there. HLPC has met in there, I know.
Yeah, it's still used as a conference room and a lunchroom.
I think the idea, Tony, is it directs employees to eat in that room, not in both rooms, so that food issue, it's only one place.
Rennie's looking at the conference room now. For those online.
Yeah, the sign is still there. Employee lunchroom, it says, and conference room too. But so it serves both functions.
So then what I would propose is writing a more specific communication, just requesting that those 4 rooms be refurbished with a more reasonable number than the whole of City Hall.
Is that something that we would put an RFP out for, or is that?
Well, this is what I learned through the process is that as long as the vendors are on state contracts, then the furniture they provide is at a pre-negotiated price, so that you don't necessarily need to get three different quotes as long as the vendors can access the state contract.
All right, so then that doesn't require any action from.
Well, that would do
us.
another communication. I would do the same thing on that one.
Okay. Everybody clear on that outcome?
I still don't know what the 4th room is. The mayor's conference room. What's the 4th room?
The mayor's office.
So the mayor's office, the mayor's conference. So so we're talking about you're saying $80,000. So you're looking at $20,000 to renovate new furniture in 4 rooms.
And carpet and paint.
I thought we weren't going to pick carpet down. We're going to pick carpet down in all 4 rooms as well?
Yes.
Well, we can get a proposal, right? But that doesn't mean we have to.
Well, I propose this. If we're going to put brand new furniture and carpet in rooms, then it's going to be that you cannot eat or drink in those rooms. We're going to put brand new carpet, $20,000 worth of new furniture, whatever, but we're going to allow people to eat and drink, which then is going to ruin it.
Well, I think that would be up to Elissa as the czarina of City Hall.
It's my understanding that we have to provide a space for CSEA employees to eat. So that's why conference room 2 is designated as a lunchroom. That room is used quite often at night for various meetings.
So maybe
every room in City Hall, people eat and drink. I eat and drink in my office, but I believe that carpet that would be in a municipal building is a grade that would withstand, typical wear and tear. The carpet in those rooms right now, I don't even know how long that's been there. I think it's unreasonable to say that we're not going to allow adults to eat or drink. Right now, they're not allowed to eat or drink in chambers, but every place else in City Hall, people eat and drink.
Yeah, the carpet in the 2 conference rooms is actually growing food.
I think in response, what we do is the vendor who's helping us with this is advised of the dual purpose of the room, and then they would recommend maybe carpet that's more easily cleaned from spills. Leave it to them to figure that out.
Perhaps a laminate flooring.
Laminate flooring, yeah.
All right, so I mean, it just sounds like we can get a general idea, and that's not locking us into a final decision. We could still review once we get more information, right?
Yep.
Okay, are you all right with that, Tony?
Yeah, I would wait for more information. I just think, I don't know. I guess I haven't put new furniture and carpet in my rooms in the house in a long time. That $20,000, it seems like it's a lot, but I'll wait.
Okay. All right. Thank you then. Anything else anybody wants to bring up? Hearing nothing, then without objection, I'll consider this meeting adjourned here at 8:07. Hope everyone has a good night, safe travels if you're going home, and safe getting to whatever other room you go to tonight, if you're at home already. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.